Something big is coming to Maxton Hall. And the moment you see the first frame of the Season 3 trailer, you'll feel it in your chest. Everything they've been fighting for is about to explode into the most emotional, dangerous, and life-changing chapter yet. Season 3 of Maxton Hall is finally stepping into the spotlight. And the trailer wastes no time reminding us why this world has taken over everyone's hearts. From the very first second, you can feel that this season is not just continuing the story, it's shifting everything. All the pain, all the confusion, all the unanswered questions from the previous season suddenly come rushing back the moment Ruby appears on screen, and honestly, the way the trailer frames her face tells you everything. She looks stronger, calmer, but also like she's carrying something heavy that she still hasn't shared with anyone. And the reason behind that is something the fans already know very well. Ruby is finally standing on the edge of the future she always dreamed of. Yet she's terrified of losing the one person she never expected to love this deeply, James. And speaking of James, his presence in the trailer hits completely differently this time. For the first time, he's not hiding behind his family name, not escaping from what he's done, and not running away from what he feels. Instead, he looks determined, almost desperate, like someone who has finally realized that he would rather burn his entire world down than risk losing Ruby again. And honestly, the way the trailer shows him taking slow steps toward her, almost like he's afraid she might disappear if he moves too fast, tells you exactly what kind of emotional storm we are about to see. But to truly understand why this trailer feels so intense, we first need to talk about what happened in Season 2. After everything that tore them apart, James losing his mother, Mortimer's cruelty, the secrets that kept building like a mountain between them this season, finally gives them a moment to breathe. Yet at the same time, it's clear that this breath is not calm at all. Because just as they try to rebuild what they lost, a new set of problems rises around them. And honestly, it feels like Maxton Hall itself is pushing them into a corner, forcing them to face everything they avoided for too long. The trailer also gives us a glimpse of Lydia, and the moment her face appears, you instantly understand that her storyline will not be quiet this season. She looks torn, emotional, and carrying a fear that she is clearly trying to hide. And the small flashes of Graham only make things more complicated. Their future, their choices, and even their safety seem to be balancing on thin ice. And honestly, the way Lydia holds her hands close to her stomach, almost protectively, says more than any dialogue could ever explain. She is stepping into a chapter where one wrong decision could change her life completely. But what truly shocks you is Mortimer's brief appearance in the trailer. Even though we only see him for a few seconds, those seconds are enough to make your stomach drop, because his face is not the face of a man who feels guilty or ashamed. It is the face of someone who believes he still has all the power, all the control, and all the right to shape the lives of the people around him. And honestly, this tells us one thing: Season 3 will not be peaceful for long. Something is coming. Something big, and Mortimer is right at the center of it. Another powerful detail the trailer reveals is the key. Yes, the same mysterious key we saw in the Season 2 finale, and the moment Percy appears on screen holding it, everything suddenly becomes more mysterious. The way he looks at it with sadness, guilt, and maybe even love tells us that this key carries a truth that could destroy everything Mortimer has built, and the trailer doesn't explain anything. It just shows that single moment, letting us feel the weight of it. Honestly, that one shot alone is enough to make fans start forming 100 theories. But the most emotional part of this first section is the small moment between Ruby and James, where they look at each other with a softness we haven't seen in a long time. It's the kind of look that says, "I lost you once, I will not let it happen again." And because of everything they have gone through, this moment feels even more powerful. It feels like the calm before a storm, the quiet breath before the entire season pulls them into chaos again. So the first part of the trailer makes one thing extremely clear. Season 3 is not just another chapter, it is the turning point. The moment where secrets rise, relationships change, and every truth they buried finally comes to the surface. And honestly, after watching just the first part of this trailer, you know that nothing in Maxton Hall will ever be the same again. As the trailer moves forward, the energy shifts into something much heavier, almost like the story is finally ready to show us the consequences everyone has been running from. And honestly, the first thing that hits you is how isolated Ruby suddenly looks. Even though she's surrounded by students, teachers, and the entire world of Maxton Hall, there is a moment in the trailer where she stands alone in the hallway. Her eyes unfocused, her breath uneven, as if she's processing something she wasn't prepared to hear. And the way the trailer cuts this moment so quickly makes it even more haunting, almost teasing the idea that Ruby might face a decision this season that could cost her everything she has worked for. But right after that, we see James, and his reaction tells us far more than dialogue ever could. He looks terrified. Not scared of losing status, not scared of Mortimer, not scared of the school. He looks scared of losing Ruby again. The trailer shows him walking fast, almost running through the courtyard like he has just found out something he shouldn't have. And honestly, that kind of panic is something we have never seen from James before. It tells us that this season is finally going to break his emotional walls completely. He can't pretend anymore, he can't hide behind anger, pride, or silence. Ruby is the one thing he cannot afford to lose, and he knows it. The trailer then does something extremely clever. It frames Lydia in a way that makes her storyline feel like a ticking bomb. She appears in a classroom, her hands shaking slightly, and her eyes looking around as if she's waiting for someone to walk in and ruin everything. And honestly, the way the camera stays close to her face makes it clear Lydia is carrying a secret that she can't hide for long. Whether it's the truth about her pregnancy, the situation with Graham, or something connected to Mortimer, she is clearly terrified. But for the first time, she doesn't look helpless, she looks determined, and that shift is extremely important. Because it shows us that Lydia isn't just reacting anymore, she's preparing to fight back. And then we get a flash of Graham, and his expression adds even more mystery. He looks heartbroken, unsure, and almost guilty. There is a moment where he stands in front of the school gates and the wind blows his hair back. And the emotion in his eyes is so strong that it instantly makes you wonder if he has discovered something that could change his entire future with Lydia. Honestly, the way the trailer places Graham and Lydia in separate emotional spaces tells you everything. They love each other, but this season will test them more than they ever imagined. But the moment that truly sends chills down your spine is when Mortimer appears again. This time, he's not sitting in an office or walking through his mansion. The trailer shows him standing in the school hallway, staring at a door with a look of cold, calculated anger, and the second you see that expression, you understand that Mortimer is not done, not even close. He is planning something bigger than before. Something that could destroy reputations, futures, and relationships with one move. And honestly, the way he grips his cane tighter, almost like he is holding back his fury, tells us that someone in this season is going to challenge him in a way he never expected. And then the trailer switches back to Percy, and this is where things get truly suspenseful. Percy opens a drawer, pauses, and then pulls out a small envelope that looks old and fragile, and on top of it, the key. Yes, the same key he kissed in the season finale. The trailer doesn't show what's inside the envelope, but the way Percy's hands shake slightly tells us everything. Whatever is inside will change the entire family's future. And honestly, that tiny detail alone is enough to make fans start forming new theories, especially about Cordelia's death, the will, and Mortimer's involvement. Percy looks conflicted, almost like he knows that revealing the truth could destroy him, but staying silent would destroy the twins. The trailer also gives us a few quick, emotional flashes: Ruby crying behind a closed door, James dropping down onto a chair with frustration, Lydia gripping Graham's hand tightly, Percy standing alone in the cemetery, and Mortimer staring out of a window with a smile that feels far too confident. And each shot is designed to make you feel that Season 3 is not just about romance and healing. It is about truth, and truths, once uncovered, cannot be hidden again. But the most powerful moment in the middle of the trailer is when Ruby and James face each other. They don't speak, they don't touch, they just stare, and in that silence, you see everything: the fear, the love, the regret, and the hope. It feels like they are standing on the edge of something huge, something that could break them or rebuild them completely. And honestly, the first half of this trailer makes one thing very clear: Season 3 is not playing safe anymore. It is stepping into deeper emotions, bigger twists, and truths that will shake Maxton Hall to its core. And if this is only the beginning, the rest of the season is going to be unforgettable. As the trailer enters its next phase, the energy shifts again, this time into something sharper, heavier, and filled with the kind of tension that makes you stop breathing for a second. And honestly, the first moment that truly stands out is Ruby stepping into the headmaster's office. The trailer doesn't reveal what she's doing there, but the look on her face tells you everything. She seems prepared, focused, and ready to defend herself in a way she never could back in the earlier seasons. And this change in her is so powerful because it shows how much she has grown. Ruby is no longer the girl who gets pushed around by the system. She is someone who knows her worth now, someone who understands that she deserves a future, and someone who refuses to lose it because of other people's lies. But then, just seconds later, we see James outside, standing near the stone wall behind the school, staring at the ground with a look of guilt that almost feels painful. And honestly, the trailer captures this moment so beautifully. You can tell he's wrestling with something. Maybe a truth he hasn't told Ruby yet, or something new he discovered about Mortimer. The weight on his shoulders looks heavier than anything he has dealt with before, and the way he finally lifts his head, almost as if he's gathering courage. Shows us that he is preparing to do something he should have done a long time ago: fight for Ruby. Openly, without hesitation, without fear, and without hiding behind excuses. What truly intensifies the entire mood of the trailer, though, is the sudden flash of Cyril. He appears for only a heartbeat, but it is enough to completely shift the tone. Cyril looks nervous, almost distressed, standing inside a classroom with a stack of papers in his hand. And the way he glances toward the door, as if someone might walk in at any moment, tells us that he might be holding a secret that could turn the story upside down. Honestly, after everything we saw last season, the photo he took of Lydia and Graham, there is no doubt that Cyril is still hiding more information. And season 3 might finally force him to speak up, but the trailer doesn't stay still for long. It quickly jumps to a moment that feels absolutely crucial. Lydia and Percy standing together in the hallway. Now, these two characters barely interacted before, so seeing them in the same frame instantly raises every possible question. Lydia looks defeated, like she is carrying a truth she can't say out loud, while Percy looks calmer, almost protective, like someone who is finally ready to step out of the shadows. And honestly, the way the camera moves around them gives off a very strong feeling that Lydia might learn something about her mother, or maybe even something about her own family history, directly from Percy this season, and this could easily change everything she believes about herself. Then the trailer cuts to Mortimer again. But this time it's different. He's not angry, he's smiling, a cold, unsettling smile that instantly makes you feel like he has already planned every move the others haven't even realized they need to make. And that smile alone tells you one thing: Mortimer is not losing this fight easily. He is preparing for war, and honestly, seeing him so calm is what makes the season feel even more dangerous. Because a calm Mortimer is far more frightening than an angry one. But the next part of the trailer hits even harder. We see Ruby and James sitting across from each other, not touching, not arguing, just staring with an intensity that says everything they can't say out loud. Their eyes are full of fear, love, and something else, something that feels like the quiet realization that they might have reached a point where the truth will decide whether they stay together or break apart completely. And the silence in that scene feels louder than any dialogue. Because after everything they've survived, betrayals, misunderstandings, family chaos, this season might finally force them to confront the emotions they've been avoiding for too long. And then comes one of the most mysterious shots in the entire trailer: Ruby holding a letter. It's folded neatly, sealed, and looks old, as if it has been hidden somewhere for years. The moment Ruby touches it, the music in the trailer drops and the feeling instantly becomes darker. This letter could easily be connected to Cordelia, to the will, to Mortimer, or even to Percy. But the way Ruby's hands shake slightly as she opens it suggests one thing: the truth inside might be far more painful than she expects. And honestly, this tiny detail is enough to fill the entire season with suspense. But the trailer doesn't end this section quietly. The last shot jumps to James grabbing Percy's arm outside the mansion. His voice unheard, but his expression filled with panic, and Percy, instead of pulling away, simply looks at him with a mixture of sadness and understanding. That single expression makes it clear that Percy knows something huge, something that James is finally ready to hear. And with that, the trailer leaves us hanging, making it obvious that season 3 is going to be the season where every buried truth finally comes out. And honestly, after seeing this section, it becomes more clear than ever that Maxton Hall is about to deliver its most emotional, explosive, and unforgettable chapter yet. As the trailer moves into its most intense part yet, the entire atmosphere suddenly shifts into something heavier, almost like every character is being pulled toward a truth they can't escape anymore. And honestly, the first shot that hits you right away is Ruby standing outside under the gray sky, her hair moving with the wind, her expression caught somewhere between fear and determination. It's the kind of moment that instantly tells you something major is approaching, something she can't avoid. And the way the trailer keeps the camera close to her face, letting us see every tiny emotion in her eyes, shows us just how deeply this season is going to dive into Ruby's inner world. She is no longer just reacting to what others are doing. She is finally stepping into a chapter where her voice, her choices, and her bravery will matter more than ever before. But right after that, the trailer cuts sharply to James, and the contrast between their emotions is almost painful. He looks furious, not with Ruby, but with himself, with Mortimer, with the entire world that keeps pulling them apart. And honestly, the way he grabs the railing near the school stairs, holding it so tightly that his knuckles turn white, tells you everything you need to know. James is exhausted. He is tired of secrets, tired of running, tired of pretending to be strong while everything around him is falling apart. And the moment he finally lifts his head, with a mixture of guilt and fire in his eyes, you can tell that this is the season where James will stop holding back. He is finally ready to do whatever it takes to protect Ruby, even if it means going against the very people who raised him. The trailer then reveals one of the most chilling transitions, yet Mortimer's voice echoing faintly over the background. Music as he walks through a dimly lit room, even though we can't hear the exact words. The tone is cold, controlled, and dripping with superiority. And the moment Mortimer places a stack of documents on the table, the atmosphere instantly tightens. Because you can feel that these papers are not random. They are important, dangerous, and most likely connected to the will, the inheritance, or the truth about Cordelia. But what makes this moment even more terrifying is how calm Mortimer is. He isn't worried, he isn't unsure, he looks like a man who believes he has already won, but the trailer refuses to let you rest for long. Within seconds, we see Lydia in her bedroom, her hands covering her mouth, tears building in her eyes. She is staring at something in front of her, a message, a photograph, a paper, something that clearly breaks her heart, and honestly, this is one of the most emotional shots in the entire trailer. Because Lydia, who always tries to stay strong, finally looks like she is reaching her breaking point. And the soft trembling in her fingers tells us that whatever she has discovered, it is not something she can keep to herself anymore. This season will most likely force Lydia to confront truths about her family, her relationship, and her future that she never imagined she would have to face. Then we see Graham pacing back and forth outside near the statue in the courtyard, and for the first time, he looks genuinely terrified. His face is pale, his steps are uneven, and he keeps running his hands through his hair. It's as if he knows something that could ruin everything, something that Lydia hasn't heard yet. And honestly, the way the trailer shows Graham trying to calm himself down but failing miserably tells us that his storyline is about to become far more complicated than anyone expected. Graham is no longer just the boy who loves Lydia, he is someone carrying secrets of his own now. But the most powerful moment in this section without question is the confrontation scene between James and Mortimer. It happens quickly, but it shakes the entire mood of the trailer. James storms into the room, his voice unheard but his anger unmistakable. Mortimer simply turns and looks at him with that cold, dismissive expression we know too well, and honestly, that moment alone tells you that Season 3 is finally going to give us the father-son clash we've been building toward. Since the very beginning, James is no longer afraid. Mortimer is no longer pretending, and their battle, once it starts, is going to affect every character in this story. Then the trailer softens, but not in a comforting way. We see Ruby sitting by her desk late at night, her hands resting on a notebook. She looks exhausted, overwhelmed, and almost lost. But then she closes her eyes and takes a long breath, as if reminding herself why she started all of this in the first place. And that single breath feels symbolic. It shows us that Ruby is not giving up, not on her dreams, not on her future, and not on the people she loves. Even when everything feels impossible, she still finds the strength to keep going. And honestly, that resilience is exactly why this season will hit so hard emotionally. The final shot of this section is subtle but incredibly powerful. We see Percy stepping into a dark hallway, holding the key in his hand. He looks down at it, then looks up with a calm, heartbreaking expression, and for the first time, he looks ready to tell the truth, ready to confess what happened, ready to destroy Mortimer's lies forever. Percy's quiet strength becomes one of the biggest emotional anchors of this season, and this moment proves it. And with that, the trailer leaves us breathless once again, building the perfect bridge into the final section where everything comes together and every question finally demands an answer. As the trailer enters its final stretch, everything suddenly feels heavier, almost like every secret that has been hiding in the shadows is finally ready to come into the light. And honestly, the first moment that hits you in this last section is Ruby walking across the courtyard. While students whisper around her, their eyes follow her. Their voices echo softly in the background, and even though we can't hear the exact words, the tension is unmistakable. Ruby looks straight ahead, refusing to let anyone's judgment break her. And this moment alone shows how far she has come. She is no longer scared of whispers, or lies, or rumors. She knows the truth will come out soon, and she is strong enough to face whatever comes next. Right after that, the atmosphere changes instantly. We see James standing in front of his car, breathing heavily, his eyes shining with a mixture of panic and determination. It's almost like he has just made a life-changing decision, one that could shift the entire direction of the season. He looks like a man who is finally done being silent, done being afraid of Mortimer, done watching Ruby suffer because of his family's mistakes. And honestly, the intensity in his expression makes it clear James is about to take a step that will change everything for him, for Ruby, and for Maxton Hall itself. But the trailer doesn't slow down, it immediately cuts to a scene that leaves you breathless. Lydia standing across from Percy in the empty dining room of the mansion. The lighting is dim, the air feels thick, and both of them look terrified for different reasons. Lydia looks like she's about to break apart, while Percy looks like he's finally ready to speak. And then we see a close-up of the key in Percy's hand. For a second, he closes his fingers around it, almost as if he's gathering courage. And honestly, the weight of this moment is so powerful because it feels like the entire truth about Cordelia, the will, and Mortimer is resting inside that tiny piece of metal. You can feel that whatever Percy is about to reveal will not only change Lydia's life, it will turn the entire legacy of the family upside down. Then the trailer takes us back to the school, giving us one of the most emotional moments between Ruby and James. They're sitting on opposite sides of the library table, their eyes lowered, their breath slow, both of them carrying different fears. Ruby looks unsure, almost like she's preparing for heartbreak. James looks desperate, as if he is searching for the right words but can't find them. And the quiet between them is so intense that it almost feels like a confession waiting to happen. This moment shows us that their relationship is standing on the edge of something huge, either a complete breakthrough or the deepest pain they've ever faced. And honestly, the silence alone is enough to tell you how much they still mean to each other. But then, the tone shifts again when we see Mortimer raising his voice during a heated argument. His face is red with anger, his eyes sharp with cruelty. And for the first time, it looks like he is losing control. Papers fly off the table. A chair moves slightly and the entire room seems to vibrate with his rage. And this is the clearest sign yet that Mortimer feels threatened. He knows something is slipping out of his hands, power, control, or maybe the truth he buried for so long. And the more desperate he becomes, the more dangerous he will be this season. Right after that explosive scene, the trailer gives us a beautifully painful shot of Ruby standing under the rain. Near the school gates, she closes her eyes as the rain falls over her, as if she's finally letting herself feel everything she's been holding inside. And the vulnerability in this moment is what makes it unforgettable. Because even though Ruby is strong, determined, and focused, she is still human. She still hurts. She still fears losing the people she loves. And seeing her allow herself to break for a moment makes her courage later feel even more meaningful. But then the tone sharpens again. We see Lydia rushing down the staircase, her hand on her stomach, fear covering her face. Graham appears behind her, calling after her, his voice unheard but full of panic. And the way the scene is shot, quick, desperate, breathless, makes it clear that something serious is happening, something that could change their future forever. And then, the final sequence of the trailer begins, fast, emotional, and filled with tiny glimpses that leave your heart racing. James slamming his hand on Mortimer's desk, Percy unlocking a chest in a dark room, Ruby pulling open her notebook with tears in her eyes, Lydia gripping Graham's arm, Mortimer screaming at someone off-screen, the school lights flickering, papers flying, doors slamming. Every shot is designed to leave you breathless, to tell you that Season 3 is not just the continuation of the story, it is the storm they've been building toward since the very beginning. But the last shot is the most powerful. Ruby and James standing face to face in the courtyard at dusk. The world around them seems still, quiet, almost frozen. They don't move, they don't speak, they just stare at each other, with everything they've been through reflected in their eyes: love, fear, anger, hope, regret, and the desperate wish for a future together. And then, right before the trailer ends, Ruby whispers something we can't hear. James closes his eyes, and the screen fades to black dot. And honestly, that final moment tells you everything. Season 3 is going to be emotional, it's going to be painful, it's going to be shocking, but more than anything, it's going to be unforgettable. A season filled with truth, healing, revelations, and the chance for Ruby and James to finally find the happiness they deserve if they can survive everything that's coming. Now the only question is, are we ready for the most powerful season Maxton Hall has ever given us?